Well, Sergio, welcome to Bad Marketing Sucks. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, guys. How you guys doing?
We're doing well. We're glad to have you on.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely. So, Sergio, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a first generation Hispanic, and I studied marketing back in Mexico. I came to United States. I started working in construction. Um for a couple of years, of course, I didn't like it that much. The sun doesn't go with me, and
Yeah.
Me
uh,
either.
yeah, I get really red, so it's like not good. And yeah, working in construction, of course, you're trying to make connections, trying to make money. Then I had the opportunity to work for a newspaper, and then I start selling newspaper, advertising when it used to work, right?
Mm-hmm.
The tabloid.
Yeah.
I don't know you guys hear about green sheet. Here in Texas, it was big,
Mm-hmm.
but something like that. And then I got an offer from a company uh, as a marketing director. And then I got hired for another company as well. And then my client from the newspaper started calling me, and that's how we started the advertising agency. And I decided to open up in 2008. And since then, I've been doing marketing for companies that want to target and tap to the Hispanic market.
Yeah. That's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So, what do you think? What is the first thing that you've learned of what people are really not doing well when they're in their effort to reach out to the Hispanic market?
Well, something that I noticed is the beginning when I was starting or creating marketing campaign for companies, the perception that Spanish was the solution, the language itself,
Mm-hmm.
right? So they start, translated. They hired me first just for translations, and of course we do the translation, and but I always trying to over deliver, and I give it my version, like interpretate what they're trying to accomplish,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
and that's how I find out that there was in the perception that only Spanish was enough. So I was working with them and teaching them that Spanish is not the solution. So then they start implementing my ideas,
Mm-hmm.
and those ideas they start delivering more results than what they was thinking, and that's how. That's one of the things that I see companies that was lacking. Like, okay, these companies they want to tap into the Hispanic market, but they just translate stuff doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to do something else. And yeah, that's one of the things that I see the companies is, and until this time, I'm in Texas,
Mm-hmm.
so believe me, there's a lot of Hispanics here,
Yeah.
and there's different generations of Hispanics, and yeah, that's when we start working with companies and we start interpreting or the message.
Mm-hmm.
We saw a difference. So that's one of the things that I noticed with companies that they were lacking of understanding the culture, because it was
Yeah.
more it's about more the culture than the language.
Yeah.
So you're saying it's not enough just to speak Spanish to this market. You've got to be able to. So is there something? I think somebody mentioned something about a Spanglish. What exactly is that?
Actually, that's a thing. We can say like the new language for the millennials and the Gen Zs, and
Mm-hmm.
even us older millennials. This Spanish has it comes from the culture of Chicanos. Chicanos are the sons of the Mexican descendants,
Mm-hmm.
and they speak both languages, but they just come up with words that sounds like they was speaking Spanish, but to be honest, you say only English, bad English.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Yeah.
bad, I
Right.
don't know if it's bad English or bad Spanish, but
One or two. So it's really. So you would say it's a hybrid of the two? Is that what you would say?
yeah, it's a mix. So
Yeah.
we
Okay.
give examples. We just hit a word like mop, mopping. You mopping the floor, right?
Yeah.
And you wanna hear moms say like I'm mapeando, which is basically the same word, just with that uh, in
with the ending on there.
The ing.
Yeah.
yeah, ing. They said, we translate only the ing to Spanish, and we made it Spanish now, and that's called Spanglish.
Yeah.
And actually, I see some big brands using it because it's a thing now. In Mexico, being bilingual, it has a cool factor, right? You speak English and you mix it with the Spanish because of the music that we hear, and all the influence that America has in Mexico culturally. So it has a cool factor.
Mm-hmm.
But here we interpret it, we create those words, and I work with a lot of construction brands, companies, and it's even bigger the Spanglish there because tools or things like that we hear that we just translated. So Spanglish is a thing, and the brands should be embracing that because, to be honest, you get two audiences for the price of one. We can say something.
So is it mostly though for the younger generation, or is it kind of taken over and becoming something across all demographics or all age groups of Hispanics?
Good question. I think it doesn't have an age because the younger crowd, they hear from their parents, and the parents actually are the ones that created it. So I think
I see.
Because they don't know how to refer to things, so they just make words out of the blue, and we understand what they meant to say. Like I know we were talking about parking lots, parqueadero, and roofers. Actually, we work with a lot of roofers, so we call them rooferos. That's it.
Yeah.
That's Spanglish.
Yeah, that's Spanglish.
Rooferos.
That's it.
Right. I like it. I like that.
Well, Spanglish is also one of my favorite movies with Adam Sandler. So
I've never seen that. I need to check that out.
You really should. My wife, every time I pass, I'm like, "Hey, we should watch this," and she says, "No, not again. I'm done. I'm tired of it." I said, "Well, not everybody can have great taste like me, so that's just how it goes." So, okay, if we've got Spanglish and the current, what current parents, is this a generational thing, and is there a generational distinction about how you are speaking to them? So what generation? You said you're third generation?
Yeah, well, for example, I'm a first generation Hispanics, right? This is how we divide it in the agency. From 1 year to 7 years, we consider it. It's in general, right? I don't want to be specific, but it's first generation. These people don't. They speak Spanish at home, and they speak Spanish at work. They don't communicate much in English. Then 7 to 14, they communicate at home in Spanish and English at work. So, and then you have the third generation, which is the one that born here, which they speak English and English at home and work. And the third generation, they only speak English. They just have the last name. I don't know if you guys not been in front of them, but they can be Gonzalez, and they don't speak English.
They don't speak any Spanish, right? Yeah, I've seen that.
So that's one of the things. And the second and third generation are the ones that are more familiar with Spanglish. And this is basically the consumer base of most of our the companies that are looking to tap into the Hispanic community, because that first generation brings all the brands that they are familiar with from their countries. So if you want to tap to the Hispanic market, you better you have better chances with the second and the third generation.
Yeah, gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense.
Yeah, we've been seeing, for example, here in Houston, we have the Houston Dynamo, and they've been spending a lot of money and a lot of efforts to gain, the Hispanic audience, and they have been able to do it. So it's just because they tap into the cultural thing, and and they target the first generation of Latinos, because second and third, yes, we like soccer, but now we're more familiar with baseball or football, right?
Yeah.
So now we are diverse. So that's one of the examples that I can see.
Yeah, we're seeing a little bit of that. So I'm on a board for our Arsenal soccer club here in Augusta, and so when we have tryouts, and we'll have our last tryouts, we probably had 50 or 60 Hispanic children come out, boys and girls. But it's interesting because they will be translating for their parents, and so we get this really large drop off because it's a nonprofit, so they just haven't figured out how to communicate very well and how to bridge that gap. But we saw that just a few months ago with tryouts, just having a huge number. We were so excited, but then there was this huge drop off.
Just from a communication standpoint?
Yeah. I mean, well, the kids are translating for their parents.
Yeah, that's tough.
And that makes it hard.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Well, we've seen in a lot of industries, we have a construction trade show that we produce, Expo Contratista, and then they bring the kids. So if we talk about a trade show, you don't imagine kids in a trade show, right? But in a trade show, it's normal, because they bring their kids for, if they want to buy a machine or tools or whatever, and they tell their kids, hey, tell them that I want this product, I want to buy 2 of them, or whatever it is. They want to communicate, and they use the kids
to talk. Wow, that's interesting. Yeah.
So it's very interesting, because at the beginning, at the trade show in 2018, brands like Bosch, DeWalt, all those companies, they used to see kids in trade shows. So, man, this is normal for us.
Why are all these kids here? Maybe we need to sell ice cream.
Yeah, and of course we are very family oriented, so it was kind of a cultural shock for them. But now they understand why, and it's just what you just mentioned, Chad.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Now, from a buying power standpoint, I mean, the Hispanic community has got to have a significant buying power. How much is being missed, not tapping into it, or not tapping into it maybe the right way
or effectively? Yeah.
Yes. Well, it all depends on the area, right? Where do you live? California, Texas, Florida, of course. It's a big. You have to move, I see companies moving a big chunk of their advertising budget to the Hispanic community. But we're talking about they moving, 50, 60%, because now it's a huge market. Of course, probably Minnesota, or, another state where they're not huge population. Of course, they stay the same. Now, the buying power, if I'm not mistaken, it was around $50 trillion buying power for the Latino community, and it's huge and it's growing. Now, why? Why they have so much power, buying power? One, always said to my client, look, if you want to target a community that doesn't have loyalty for the current competitors, right? Because, for example, we work with power tools, right?
Yeah.
And one power tool, there's companies that been advertising specific audience. The Latino community doesn't have the issue. We are just open to any brand.
Right. Yeah. Right.
So that's one factor. Like, hey, talk to the Hispanic community. They don't have loyalty. They haven't been able to build that loyalty yet. So you have more chances. And of course we're consumer based, right? So we just come from our countries with anything. So we need houses, we need cell phones, we need cars, we need everything from right? So we have to buy the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
So we don't heritage anything. So it's a huge factor, right? That we have to buy everything new, and build. And there's opportunity for the brands to
There's a
create
huge opportunity there. Yeah.
Yes,
You know, it's interesting you say that though, because my grandfather was like, he was so loyal to Craftsman. Both of my grandfathers, actually, you know, they both grew up in the country in Kentucky. Craftsman is all they did, and by virtue of that, that's the first thing I look for is Craftsman, because my grandparents, that's what that's the tools they used. That's a really interesting point that you make there.
Yeah, and is and that's how we explain it with our clients. Like, look, you have a person that work really hard. We work 6-7 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
We have the money power, right?
Sure.
Now we don't have a loyalty yet for brands, so you can they're going to be more open to listen to your message. And 3, we have to buy it anyway. We don't. Nobody gives it to us. We don't have families that pass things to us. So
Right.
yeah, those 3 factors is huge. That's why they had to tap, and that's why it's very important for every single company to start looking to it.
Right.
Because if the market is saturated, just move to another market.
Right. Well, let me ask you this: in terms of the Hispanic community, do you find that they move around a lot based on maybe a job that they could find somewhere and pick up their family and go?
Yes, definitely. That is another factor. Actually, you can have in a zip code, 5,000, families living there, and if there is for example, that's what happened in Texas. So there's in Houston, let's say Dallas, Texas, 5,000 families. Then in Odessa, they open a pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Half of the people in Dallas, Texas, they moved to Midland, Odessa. So and they start
moved
there.
To where?
From
How
Dallas,
far?
I don't know, like Midland, Odessa.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, I
It's
thought
like,
you said Virginia. Okay, I got
No,
you.
no.
Get ready to say.
But they move, and now Midland, Odessa, they have so much population over there, and they have to start building hospitals, schools and things like that. Because
Walmarts.
So we are really easy to move, even if we have big families, because remember, if we are here, it's because for a better opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And we hunting opportunities, whatever they are.
Right.
So that is another factor as well. Like you can have 5,000 families in a zip code. Next month, half of them. So
Could
we
be
don't.
gone. Yeah.
Yes. So how do you navigate that? How do you navigate adjusting with that the shift in the population from one location to the next?
By culture, tapping into culture, no language, no geolocation. Of course, you have your areas. When we do digital campaigns, we do geo-targeting and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But the message is the key, right?
Yeah, right.
They have to relate to the brand culturally.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you build loyalty with them.
Right. That makes sense.
Now, how much of that comes back to the first thing we talked about in the translation? Is getting the translation, if you miss the mark on the translation, are you missing the mark on tapping into the culture?
Look, you can notice as an Hispanic first generation that now I communicate in English, you can tell when a brand is trying to adapt.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's obvious, it's like, okay, I know you're trying to send me something, right? Basically, that's what is in our mind, right?
Yeah.
And that happened because in some companies, let's say middle-sized companies, they hire an assistant or receptionist because the business owner noticed that she speaks Spanish. Now she, out of the blue, becomes the marketing director or the marketing assistant.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, you speak Spanish? Yes. Oh, let me have to translate this, so then let's start advertising. So, but when you do that, you can tell like, oh, this is just Spanish. Is I don't know. I don't relate.
Yeah.
So
there's a disconnect there. Yeah.
because the assistant or receptionist, one
Yeah,
who's
that's
helping the guy, just because he speaks Spanish now is
it's not.
I
Yeah,
mean,
it doesn't relate. You
that
know.
that would be like somebody coming to me like, "Oh, you have a degree in Spanish. You
Yeah,
should
I
translate
mean
this." I'm
that's
like,
not going to be all that effective.
yeah, I've got a
Yeah,
piece of paper and I
this
can
is
speak
really
it
yeah.
enough
Uh,
to get around
yeah.
and get a beer, but
This is good information. I mean, these are things that I never would have thought about in terms of the, how to effectively market to the Hispanic community. There's so many different facets to it. But in closing, let me ask you this: if you had to give the 3 top ways that someone that a business could actually effectively reach and market to the Hispanic community, what would they be?
uh,
Just 3 ways, just to help someone who may be in the process of trying to get better at it.
well, the radio stations, we still, very loyal to traditional media. Let me tell you something. So the radio station, they have, demographics and data. I will ask them definitely for data about the audience in their areas.
Right. So you're saying the radio station. So you're saying the Hispanic community is pretty loyal to their music.
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
we work
Okay.
with music at home. We have music. Music is a huge factor.
Right.
The other thing that you can do is, hire someone that at least is a second generation. But the thing is, how you know it's a second generation? It's gonna sound like me.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
it has an accent, good. So
Right.
it's the best person because probably they deal with their parents. There's the kids that they've been used for translations.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And that the other thing is I don't know. Well, you can research. And at the end of the day, I use some tools to find the Hispanic audience population depends on the area. And,
Right.
find how many of those are in your target market. So there's Google tools that you can
Right.
use.
Yeah.
Right. And so, and essentially creating a message that would resonate with the community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it.
That's awesome. Well, I think
that is
that's
awesome.
Regardless of what language you're in, that's a necessity.
universal.
But
Yeah.
it's amazing how many people even get that wrong.
Yes, they
So,
do.
But
Well, this has been enlightening because this is something that obviously is just not being tapped into effectively.
Yeah.
And we appreciate having you coming on today and enlightening us.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Sergio.
Thank you guys. Thanks for the invitation. Let's see if we can keep the conversation going.